Your mind is either your greatest weapon or your most destructive enemy. Every day it speaks. Sometimes it lifts you up, but often it tears you down. It tells you you're not good enough, that you're too late, that nothing you do is working. And without realizing it, you begin to believe it. But what if I told you this? Your brain is not the enemy, it's a supercomputer. The problem is, you've been aiming it at yourself. Today that changes because the same mind that's been sabotaging you can be reprogrammed to work for you, to bring focus, peace, power, and transformation. And no, this isn't vague motivational fluff. What you're about to learn is grounded in Stoic philosophy, backed by neuroscience, and designed for real-world self-mastery. We'll break down why your thoughts spiral out of control, how your brain creates negative loops, and 5 simple mental rewiring techniques that Stoics would admire and modern science confirms. So whether you're tired of the inner critic or ready to turn your pain into purpose, this is how you take back control. Close your tabs, silence the noise, and tune in. Because from this moment forward, your mind no longer controls you, you control your mind. Let's begin. Your brain is the most powerful tool in the known universe, more powerful than any machine, more adaptable than any program, and more dangerous than any weapon if turned against its owner. Most people never realize this. They go through life believing their mind is who they are, that the voice in their head, the self-doubt, the fear, the overthinking, that's them. But it's not. That voice is programming. It's not truth, it's pattern. And the Stoics understood this long before modern science caught up. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this, and you will find strength. But here's the problem, most people never claim that power. Instead of directing their mental energy outward to build, to grow, to lead, they turn it inward, creating a battlefield inside their own head. They obsess over what they said, what others think, what might go wrong. They run mental simulations of failure on repeat. They program themselves to lose without even knowing they're doing it. Let's be brutally honest, your brain is a goal-seeking machine. Whatever signal you give it, it will find evidence to confirm. Tell yourself, "I'm not good enough," and your brain will filter the world to prove you right. Tell yourself, "This is hopeless," and it will highlight every setback and blind you to every opportunity. But here's the truth no one tells you, your thoughts are not commands, they're suggestions, and you don't have to obey. In fact, the default state of your mind, left unchecked, is chaos. Neuroscience confirms this. Studies show that when the brain is left in idle, the default mode network, DMN, activates, and the DMN is responsible for overthinking, rumination, self-criticism, mental time travel, regret about the past, and anxiety about the future. In simpler terms, your brain, when left unmanaged, becomes a loop of emotional noise. That's why the Stoics trained daily to filter out what was unnecessary. Seneca said, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." He wasn't being poetic, he was being clinical, because most of your suffering isn't caused by events, it's caused by your interpretation of them. You can't control every thought that arises, but you can control what you focus on. Focus is power. And when you learn to direct your attention consciously, deliberately, you redirect your energy, that's when transformation begins. But this doesn't happen by accident. Like training the body, you must train the mind. Because right now, most people are walking around with mental energy set to auto-destruct. They don't even realize it, but they're feeding themselves negative loops, weak assumptions, toxic beliefs, and emotional instability day after day. That's why confidence doesn't come from positive thinking, it comes from clear mental discipline. It's the ability to recognize when your mind is spiraling and shift. It's the ability to take a painful thought, question it, neutralize it, and move forward anyway. It's the ability to stop fighting yourself long enough to build yourself. So, here's the wake-up call, you've been given a supercomputer. Stop using it to destroy your own code. Start using it to create the life you want. You are not your thoughts, you are the observer of them. You are not your fears, you are the one who decides whether or not they lead. You are not your mind, you are its master. That's what Marcus meant when he said, the soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts. So what colors are you feeding your mind? Are you programming it with discipline, clarity, strategy, or are you letting it run wild, polluted by fear, noise, and opinions from people who don't even live your life? The answer to that question determines your future. And it all begins with this one shift: treat your brain like the supercomputer it is. Be intentional about what you input, because every thought is a command line and your destiny is just the execution of your mental code. Let's keep going. In the next chapter, we'll uncover the hidden loops running in your brain so you can break free from the ones that sabotage your potential and build the mental operating system of a high-performance life. Every day you think you're thinking, but most of the time you're just looping. Same thoughts, same patterns, same emotional reactions disguised as reason. You tell yourself you're being cautious, but really you're just afraid. You tell yourself you're being realistic, but really you're just rehearsing failure in advance. You tell yourself you're analyzing, but really you're paralyzed. And here's the hard truth: most of your thoughts today are just recycled versions of yesterday's self-doubt. Your brain runs in loops, that's how it's designed. It learns through repetition. It builds neural highways through habit. And whatever path you've run the most becomes the default. So if you've been replaying pain, criticism, rejection, or failure, consciously or unconsciously, guess what happens? That becomes your home base. Your mind starts to expect negativity. It starts to search for it. And worst of all, it starts to create it. This is the trap that ruins talented minds: they confuse familiar pain with truth. The Stoics had a name for this invisible enemy: fantasy, distorted impressions. Seneca wrote, "We are more often frightened than hurt, and we suffer more in imagination than in reality." And modern neuroscience proves he was right. The brain can't distinguish between a vividly imagined fear and a real threat. The same regions fire, the same chemicals are released, the same cortisol response floods your body. In other words, your body suffers not from what's happening, but from what your mind rehearses. That's the cycle, and it doesn't break by itself. To break the loop, you need two things. 1. Awareness. You can't fight what you don't see. That's why journaling, meditation, and quiet reflection aren't luxuries, they're weapons. They allow you to observe the loop instead of being trapped inside it. Try this next time a negative spiral begins. Pause and ask, is this thought helpful or just habitual? Am I reacting to what's real or what I've been conditioned to expect? What would a Stoic do with this impression? Even that moment of distance gives you power because now you're not the thought, you're the thinker. 2. Interruption. Break the pattern before it becomes momentum. Most people wait too long. They let a negative thought repeat 20, 30 times before stepping in. By then, it's too late. The loop has momentum, it's hijacked your day. But if you interrupt early, on the first or second repetition, you collapse the loop before it becomes identity. How do you interrupt movement? Stand up, go for a walk, breathe deeply, shake the energy, laughter, break the seriousness, watch something absurd, reset the emotional state, reframing, challenge the narrative, ask, what if the opposite were true? This isn't denial, it's cognitive rescripting. As Epictetus said, it's not things that disturb us, but our judgment about them. If your judgment is broken, fix the lens, not the world. Because here's the secret: you don't have to solve your negative thoughts, you just have to stop feeding them. They only survive if you give them airtime. Most people lose not because they're weak, but because they give their energy to the wrong internal dialogue. They invest in doubts, they sponsor fear, they validate shame with their own attention and then wonder why they feel stuck. You want to redirect your life? Start by redirecting your focus. Every time you break a loop, you weaken it. Every time you interrupt the pattern, you reclaim energy. Every time you challenge a lie in your mind, you train your brain to obey you, not your past. That is what self-mastery looks like: not perfection, but pattern recognition. Not control over every emotion, but authority over which thoughts get to stay. So let this be your new rule: if the thought weakens me, it does not belong in me. Simple, ruthless, stoic. You're building a mind fit for leadership, fit for clarity, fit for peace. But you cannot lead others if you cannot first lead the conversations inside your own head. And every loop you break is one step closer to freedom. Let's get brutally honest, you're not tired, you're distracted. You're not overwhelmed by life, you're overwhelmed by everything that doesn't matter. We live in an attention economy where your focus is currency. And every notification, every headline, every meaningless opinion online is designed to bankrupt your attention. You're not losing your mind, you're just renting it out to garbage. And if you don't take control, someone else will. Focus is no longer a luxury, it is a form of self-defense. If you don't know what to ignore, you'll never know what to value. And Marcus Aurelius, arguably the most powerful man of his time, wrote in his Meditations, "You must reclaim your mind from distraction. Nowhere you can go is more peaceful, more free than your own soul if you keep it pure." He ruled an empire, and yet he made time for silence. What's our excuse? The hidden cost of noise. Every time you scroll, swipe, or react to nonsense, you're making a decision. I choose this over my peace. I choose this over my growth. I choose noise over clarity. And it doesn't feel that way, but that's the effect. Mental clutter is invisible, but it creates real fatigue. It breaks your ability to think deeply, to act decisively, to live meaningfully. And that's exactly what the world of noise wants. Because if you're distracted, you're compliant. If you're reactive, you're predictable. If you're addicted to validation, you're easy to control. But here's the Stoic truth: a focused mind cannot be manipulated, and that makes you dangerous. Modern neuroscience confirms it. Your brain has limited cognitive bandwidth, a resource used to think, plan, regulate emotions, and make decisions. When you spend that bandwidth chasing stimuli, likes, clicks, debates, you drain the fuel meant for transformation. Stanford research calls this attention residue. Every time you switch tasks or absorb drama, part of your focus stays on the last thing. And after a dozen switches, you're left fragmented and foggy. Clarity doesn't come from more effort, it comes from less distraction. Take back the reins, the Stoic focus protocol. Here's how truly competent, high-performance minds defend their focus. 1. Silence is scheduled, not optional. Don't hope for quiet, create it. Block time for deep work. No phone, no noise, just you and your thoughts. Schedule low-stim mornings. No social media, no emails, just journaling, stretching, reading. Even 30 minutes a day builds mental muscle. 2. Your inputs equal your outputs. What you consume writes the script for how you think. Unfollow accounts that drain your energy. Stop watching drama disguised as content. Replace junk dopamine with curated inspiration, books, lectures, Stoic writings. As Epictetus said, if you wish to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid. That includes being out of touch with the latest chaos. 3. Guard your inner circle. Some people are mental pollution. They don't challenge you, they distract you. They don't fuel you, they drain you. It's not elitist to protect your space, it's responsibility. Surround yourself only with those who make you better. The rest is noise. Seneca said, focus is not a skill, it's a lifestyle. Most people think they need motivation, they don't. They need fewer distractions, fewer tabs open mentally, emotionally, digitally. Less energy spent on proving, pleasing, and predicting. Your real power is not in what you try to do, it's in what you stop doing. Eliminate the unnecessary and the necessary will speak. So stop feeding the noise. Stop reacting to everything. Stop letting the world dictate where your mind lives. Reclaim it, because the mind that is calm cuts deeper than the one that is loud. And the person who protects their attention becomes untouchable. Let me tell you something most people never realize: you are not your thoughts, you are the one who observes them. And the moment you forget that, you become a prisoner of every emotion, every trigger, every mental storm that passes through you. The Stoics knew this before psychology gave it a name. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Marcus Aurelius. That's not a motivational quote, that's survival training for anyone who wants to master their mind. You cannot control the world, but you can control how you relate to it. Most people suffer not because of reality, but because of the stories they attach to it. You got rejected? That's the event. But the pain, it comes from the meaning you added. I must not be good enough. They never valued me. I always fail. You don't spiral because of what happened. You spiral because you identified with what happened, and that's where detachment becomes your weapon. What is Stoic detachment really? Let's be clear, detachment is not apathy. It's not emotional numbness. It's not pretending you don't care. Detachment is emotional intelligence in action. It's the ability to observe your inner world without letting it dominate your behavior. Think of a general surveying a battlefield. He doesn't scream when the enemy advances. He doesn't panic at the first explosion. He observes, adjusts, and executes with clarity. You must become that general for your own inner world. The trap of identification. You say things like, I am angry. I am anxious. I am depressed. But those are states, not identities. Say instead, there is anger within me. There is anxiety arising. There is heaviness today. Do you see the difference? The first makes you the emotion. The second makes you the witness of it. And once you become the witness, the emotion loses its grip. This is not spiritual fluff. This is high-performance neuroscience, backed by cognitive distancing techniques proven to reduce emotional reactivity and enhance decision-making. In short, if you can name it, you can tame it. Practices to strengthen the observer within. Here's how to build your internal watcher, your psychological fortress. 1. The 5-second rule of awareness. Before reacting to anything, pause. Take 5 seconds to name what you're feeling. I notice tension. I feel the urge to prove myself. Oh, there's fear showing up. This simple gap between stimulus and response is where power lives. 2. Journaling as emotional detox. Each night, dump your thoughts on paper, not to complain, but to dissect them. Ask yourself, what emotion dominated me today? What triggered it? What story did I tell myself? This habit turns reaction into reflection, and reflection into wisdom. 3. Meditation. Not to empty the mind, but to see it clearly. Don't sit to relax, sit to observe. Notice the patterns. Watch the cravings. Let the emotions rise and let them pass like weather. You're not the storm, you're the sky it moves through. Detachment is power because it prevents sabotage. Without it, you say things you regret. You make choices driven by fear. You chase validation instead of vision. You react to what should have been ignored. But with it, you become untriggerable. You think 3 moves ahead. You respond instead of exploding. You lead with stillness, not noise. This is what spiritual discipline, an executive mindset, and emotional intelligence all have in common, the ability to remain calm while everyone else is collapsing. That calm is not a gift, it's a decision, a muscle, a daily discipline forged through observation. The Stoics were not monks hiding from pain. They were warriors of the mind, training to see clearly, to detach from impulse, to lead themselves when life made no sense. And now it's your turn, because you don't need more advice, you need more awareness, not more opinions, more observation, not more reaction, more restraint. And the man who masters that masters himself. Energy is not your problem, direction is. Every day you wake up with a full battery. But instead of focusing that energy like a laser, most people scatter it like a broken flashlight, leaking mental power into drama, distractions, comparison, and meaningless noise. And then they wonder why nothing changes. The truth is simple, you don't lack motivation, you lack alignment. You lack focus. A high-performance mindset doesn't mean doing more. It means doing less, but doing it with absolute clarity. And that clarity begins when you stop leaking your energy and start commanding it. Detachment is power because it prevents sabotage. Without it, you say things you regret. You make choices driven by fear. You chase validation instead of vision. You react to what should have been ignored. But with it, you become untriggerable. You think 3 moves ahead. You respond instead of exploding. You lead with stillness, not noise. This is what spiritual discipline, an executive mindset, and emotional intelligence all have in common: the ability to remain calm while everyone else is collapsing. That calm is not a gift, it's a decision, a muscle, a daily discipline forged through observation. The Stoics were not monks hiding from pain. They were warriors of the mind, training to see clearly, to detach from impulse, to lead themselves when life made no sense. And now it's your turn, because you don't need more advice, you need more awareness, not more opinions, more observation, not more reaction, more restraint. And the man who masters that masters himself. Energy is not your problem, direction is. Every day you wake up with a full battery. But instead of focusing that energy like a laser, most people scatter it like a broken flashlight, leaking mental power into drama, distractions, comparison, and meaningless noise. And then they wonder why nothing changes. The truth is simple: you don't lack motivation, you lack alignment. You lack focus. A high-performance mindset doesn't mean doing more. It means doing less, but doing it with absolute clarity. And that clarity begins when you stop leaking your energy and start commanding it. The laser mindset, emotional discipline in action. Imagine this: a man walks into a room full of chaos. Everyone's panicking, phones ringing, people shouting. He doesn't react. He takes one slow breath. He looks around. He walks directly to the problem and he solves it. That is presence. That is focus. That is power under control. This is what emotional discipline looks like in motion, not absence of emotion, but mastery over where that emotion is placed. Because emotion without direction is just noise. But emotion with focus becomes firepower. Rituals to sharpen your energy. Want to shift from scattered to strategic? These habits build laser focus. 1. Start your day in silence. Before checking your phone, before speaking, sit in stillness. Breathe. Ask, what do I want this day to mean? 2. Cut one energy leak per week. Maybe it's doom scrolling. Maybe it's gossip. Pick one habit each week to eliminate or reduce. 3. Protect your peak hours. Most people are sharpest in the first 3 hours after waking. Guard those hours like treasure: no email, no noise, no nonsense. 4. Journal your mental waste. At the end of the day, write down where you wasted mental energy. Don't judge, observe. Awareness builds correction. Final insight: the one who focuses wins. In a world that rewards multitasking, the Stoic path demands singularity. Not because it's trendy, but because it's effective. The warrior sharpens one blade. The builder lays one stone. The Stoic minds one thought. That's the power of intentional energy. It moves mountains quietly, one focused strike at a time. So the next time you feel scattered, remember this: a chaotic life is often the result of undisciplined energy. And to reclaim that life, you must reclaim your focus. Let's keep going. Confidence dies the moment you outsource your self-worth. And that's exactly what most people do daily. They don't ask, what do I value? They ask, what do others approve of? They live inside a distorted mirror, reflecting back filtered opinions, curated standards, and projected insecurities from people who barely know themselves. And then they wonder why their confidence feels fragile. Here's the truth no one tells you: when your value depends on others, it will vanish the moment they change their mind. The confidence trap: external validation. You post something online and then refresh to check likes. You wear a new outfit and scan the room for reactions. You speak your mind and later replay the moment, fearing judgment. This is not confidence. It's self-surveillance, and it creates a dangerous addiction: external validation. The Stoics warned us of this trap centuries ago. Epictetus said, "If you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid." And why? Because growth demands independence from praise. If you only feel good when others approve, you're not growing, you're performing. And the performer is always a prisoner of applause. Confidence built on self-respect. The truly confident don't look outward to see how they're doing, they look inward. They measure progress by values, not opinions. They track growth by discipline, not applause. And most importantly, they would rather disappoint the world than betray themselves. That's emotional independence. It doesn't mean you're arrogant, it means you're grounded. Like a tree rooted in stillness while the wind of public opinion blows wildly around you. This is what self-worth without comparison looks like. It's not louder, it's deeper. The psychological fallout of comparison. Modern neuroscience confirms what Stoicism already knew: comparison activates the brain's pain centers. Specifically, it triggers the same circuits as physical injury. That's why social media can feel so toxic. You're not just looking, you're subconsciously ranking. And the moment you rank yourself below someone else, your brain releases stress hormones like cortisol. Over time, this destroys focus, clarity, and confidence. The fix: stop looking for mirrors, start becoming the source. Executive mindset, internal metrics only. A true executive mindset runs on internal KPIs, performance indicators. Did I act with integrity today? Did I keep the promise I made to myself? Did I say no to things that weaken me? Did I choose long-term peace over short-term approval? If the answer is yes, you win. Even if nobody claps, even if nobody sees, because when you trust your path, you don't need a cheering section, you just need traction. Practice: daily detachment from public opinion. Here's a powerful 3-step ritual to break the mirror. 1. Journal this line every morning: "Today, I will not measure myself by the reactions of others." Write it, read it, feel it. 2. Spend 1 hour completely unobserved. No social media, no feedback loops, no performing. Just be, cook, walk, think, exist, without the lens. 3. End the day with this question: did I disappoint anyone today because I stayed true to myself? If yes, celebrate. That's a win. Final insight: mirrors are for reflection, not direction. The confident don't use mirrors to decide where they're going. They know the mirror shows who you were, not who you're becoming. So stop chasing reflections. You are not here to echo the world, you are here to shape it with your silence, your vision, and your refusal to shrink for someone else's comfort. Break the mirror, walk past the noise, and never look back. Let's keep going. In every room, every conversation, and every confrontation, someone is setting the frame. The frame is the unspoken assumption of how things are. And the person who owns the frame controls the room, even in silence. Let me be blunt: you either walk in with a frame or you get absorbed into someone else's. And most people, they shrink. They adapt. They defer because they haven't learned the one skill that changes everything: mental dominance without words. The psychology of the frame. In psychology, the frame is the context that defines how we interpret behavior. If a man shouts at a football game, he's passionate. If he shouts in a meeting, he's unhinged. The context changes the meaning. And here's the brutal Stoic truth: the one who defines the context controls the narrative. Marcus Aurelius never needed to yell to dominate. His very presence set the tone: calm, decisive, composed. Because when your internal frame is strong, you don't need to force influence, you radiate it. Most people walk into rooms looking for permission. They look around, scan faces for approval, adjust their posture to blend in. They don't realize they've already lost. Because when you walk into a room needing validation, you've handed your power to people who haven't even earned your respect. Stoicism flips the equation: you bring the frame. You decide what this moment means. You act from a core belief that doesn't tremble no matter who's watching. What does a strong frame look like? It's not loud, it's certain. It looks like eye contact that doesn't seek approval. Words that don't rush to fill silence. Movements that are deliberate, not fidgeting. Silence that isn't awkward, but dominant. When you embody this, people adjust to you. They shift their tone. They match your energy. And sometimes they even ask permission to speak. Not because you demanded it, but because your belief in your own authority was louder than their insecurity. Let's keep going. In every room, every conversation, and every confrontation, someone is setting the frame. The frame is the unspoken assumption of how things are. And the person who owns the frame controls the room, even in silence. Let me be blunt, you either walk in with a frame or you get absorbed into someone else's. And most people, they shrink. They adapt. They defer because they haven't learned the one skill that changes everything: mental dominance without words. The psychology of the frame. In psychology, the frame is the context that defines how we interpret behavior. If a man shouts at a football game, he's passionate. If he shouts in a meeting, he's unhinged. The context changes the meaning. And here's the brutal Stoic truth: the one who defines the context controls the narrative. Marcus Aurelius never needed to yell to dominate. His very presence set the tone: calm, decisive, composed. Because when your internal frame is strong, you don't need to force influence, you radiate it. Most people walk into rooms looking for permission. They look around, scan faces for approval, adjust their posture to blend in. They don't realize they've already lost. Because when you walk into a room needing validation, you've handed your power to people who haven't even earned your respect. Stoicism flips the equation: you bring the frame. You decide what this moment means. You act from a core belief that doesn't tremble no matter who's watching. What does a strong frame look like? It's not loud, it's certain. It looks like eye contact that doesn't seek approval. Words that don't rush to fill silence. Movements that are deliberate, not fidgeting. Silence that isn't awkward, but dominant. When you embody this, people adjust to you. They shift their tone. They match your energy. And sometimes they even ask permission to speak. Not because you demanded it, but because your belief in your own authority was louder than their insecurity. Build your frame from within. A man with self-mastery doesn't chase control, he emanates it, and he builds his frame with purpose. Asterisk: I know why I'm here. Preparation: I'm ready for what comes. Principles: I won't violate my code to please you. Presence: you will feel me without needing to hear me. This is the leadership presence every great general, CEO, philosopher, and Stoic has. It's not about status, it's about certainty. Because when you're certain, people will believe you even before they understand you. Practical exercise: frame the day before the day frames you. Every morning before the world invades your mind, set your internal frame. Ask yourself: 1. What emotional state will I lead with today? Calm, clarity, conviction. 2. What behavior will I not tolerate from others or myself? Neediness, excuses, passive aggression. 3. What is my mission today, and what would a king do next? Write it. Breathe it. Act it. Then walk into the world like it belongs to your energy. Final insight: the frame is your throne. Don't let your environment decide who you are. Decide first. Because in a world of reaction, the one who sets the frame becomes the one others orbit around, even without trying. People aren't looking for truth, they're looking for certainty. Own yours. Hold it. Protect it like your life depends on it, because your mental life does. Don't ask for the room's energy. Bring your own. Walk in like your inner world is immovable, and watch how the outer world bows without a word. Most people live as if their identity is a jail sentence. I'm just not that type of person. I've always struggled with this. This is just how I've always been. But here's a truth the confident already know: you are not your past, you are your pattern of choices today. The truly confident do not inherit identity, they design it. And that design begins the moment you stop being loyal to an outdated version of yourself. Why most people stay trapped? It's not because they lack ambition, it's because they confuse familiarity with truth. They cling to who they've been because it's predictable, even if it's miserable. And society reinforces this lie: you are your personality type. You're either a morning person or not. You're either confident or not. This is psychological laziness disguised as self-acceptance. But confidence, real confidence, begins the moment you declare, "Who I was does not limit who I'm becoming." This is identity shifting, not in a fake Instagram way, but in the deeply Stoic way, a daily commitment to being guided by principle, not personality. Epictetus taught this over 2,000 years ago. He said, "First say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do." That sounds simple, but most never do it. Why? Because it requires confronting a painful truth: you've been lying to yourself. You've been saying things like, "I'm just not good with money. I can't stay calm in stressful situations. I always fall back into bad habits." And because you believe that narrative, you act in alignment with it, reinforcing the same reality. This is called identity-based self-sabotage. The confident person does something radical. They interrupt the loop. They stop asking, "Is this me?" and start asking, "Does this serve who I'm becoming?" If it doesn't, it's discarded. Not with drama, not with apologies, but with clarity. The confident don't try to be confident. They act like the person they respect before they become them. And that's the trick: you become the person you act like most often. This isn't faking it. This is training your nervous system to accept a new normal. Let me be specific. If you keep saying, "I'm awkward in social settings," then you will keep shrinking in rooms. But if you say, "I'm a calm presence in every room I walk into," and act accordingly, your brain begins to rewire. Because identity is not fixed. It's a loop between belief and behavior. The Stoics knew this. Modern neuroscientists confirm it. Neuroplasticity means your brain is reprogrammable, but only through repetition, not theory. So speak differently, stand differently, move with the posture of someone you respect, even before you feel ready, because feeling follows action, not the other way around. Daily practice: write the identity, live the identity. Each morning, ask yourself, 1. Who am I becoming? 2. What would that person do today? 3. What thought, behavior, or excuse must die in order for me to evolve? Then do the work. Not because you feel motivated, but because discipline is the bridge between the old you and the future you. Final insight: your future doesn't care about your excuses. The only thing standing between you and a new identity is your attachment to the old one. And every day you hesitate, you strengthen the grip of the version you're trying to outgrow. Let go. Not tomorrow, not after I fix myself, but now, because the person you truly are is already waiting on the other side of your decision.